Donald Trump is not what he claims to be. He's a puppet. He's just being manipulated by people around him. Basically, the billionaire tech networks are running the show.
One thing they're focusing on lately are these Epstein files. What is, in your opinion, that bigger picture?
The Epstein network was the biggest pedophile ring in history. Nonsense. It was a blackmail operation on behalf of Israel and the CIA. Epstein is a gateway to the cesspit. The scale of global pedophilia is absolutely massive.
You mentioned AI a lot in the last few years, and it's a part of the roadmap as well. What do we need to keep our eye on? Or is it too late?
If you want to see what's planned for the West tomorrow, look at China today. The digital ID, the digital currency, the AI dystopia agenda. The idea is that you become docile. You simply obey. You become an automaton. That's the idea.
Why were you and I replatformed on YouTube?
They have to go from being the blatant villain, which is what we saw during COVID, but now they're in a phase of, we're the good guys now, we're on your side, because they're trying to pull everyone in to this AI dystopia.
David, you seem more focused than ever, and for somehow I feel like the world needs your message more than ever.
Where we need to go is beyond the limits of your belief system. You are an infinite state of consciousness that had its perception entrapped in the belief that your experience called human is you. And awakening is when you go, that's not me. When you do that, the world changes. Give it a try, because the world won't look the same.
Hi, it's Brian Rose from London Real. You probably know that we've just recently been replatformed on YouTube after 25 months completely in the dark. The truth is, I really need your help. What I really need you to do is click on that subscribe button right now, like this video, and maybe even leave a comment or share the link with friends. We're really fighting against an algorithm that's tried to keep us quiet for so long. And the more subscribers we have, the more people watch our content, the better guests we can bring you, the better content, and we can continue transforming lives. We've been doing this for 14 years now. I want to do this for another 14 years, but I really need your help. So click on that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, share this, and we're going to continue to bring you more and more great content. Thank you. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is David Icke, the English author, broadcaster, and public speaker. For the past 35 years, you have been known as a professional conspiracy researcher, making it your mission to expose who and what is really controlling the world. Your research into prominent political figures, influential family bloodlines, global events, and the pandemic has received widespread criticism from the mainstream media. At the same time, you have fostered a worldwide legion of fans who grow tired of the government cover-ups, big tech censorship, and global manipulation efforts that have become an increasing presence in our everyday lives. You have said that we must all come together to avert a global dystopia, and that nonviolent, non-cooperation only works through unity and respect. Your latest book, The Roadmap, Escaping the Maze of Madness, pulls together all the strands of your life's research: politics, finance, religion, the occult, the afterlife, multidimensional entities, and modern AI. David, welcome back.
Thank you, mate.
To London Real. As always, I need to ask everybody watching us now to please share this link to any and all of your social media platforms, chat groups, and email lists. Let me repeat that. Can everybody watching please share this link now to any and all of your channels? This is important. We must show the powers that be that you, the public, will not tolerate any more censorship, and that you demand that our voices be heard. Over 75% of our viewers come from you sharing these links peer-to-peer. So please share this now to all of your contacts and platforms. David, this is the 11th episode in our Rose Icke series, which began on March 18th, 2020, in order to make sense of the burgeoning COVID crisis and subsequent lockdowns. Rose Icke 2 was broadcast live on April 6, 2020, and was the second largest YouTube live stream in the world that day, only to be deleted and banned minutes after the episode finished. I still remember that. Unable to accept the censorship and the clear violation of our human rights, London Real went to war with every major technology platform on the planet and was soon banned or deplatformed from all of them, along with you as well, David. But we fought back. In a matter of weeks, we created the Digital Freedom Platform, and on May 3rd, 2020, with our own technology, we broadcast Rose Icke 3 to over 1 million concurrent viewers without the help of big tech. It became the largest live stream of a conversation in human history. David, and we've talked about this, I still get people to this day who stop me on the streets and thank us for that broadcast. When they speak, they get extremely emotional because that episode was a powerful moment in their lives. I think it's impossible to overstate the importance of what we did on that day. We gave people a ray of hope in the midst of a massively coordinated, false mainstream media narrative that was being relentlessly pounded into their heads. But that broadcast came with consequences. Both of us were deplatformed from YouTube and banned or shadow banned on every other tech platform. You have been banned from visiting every country in the European Union, Australia, and countless others. I find that insane. I always tell people that censorship works. They might as well put a bullet in my head because the outcome is the same. We were totally silenced. But we refused to give up. We kept fighting. You published books, you expanded your reach on iconic media, and we continued to broadcast, teach in our academy, and create documentary films. In fact, our movie, We Will Not Be Silenced, that chronicles our journey together in 2020, won over 20 global film festivals, and premiered to a raving crowd in London in 2023, as you remember. After years of takedowns, bans, shadow bans, warnings, strikes, investigations, public campaigns, and private pressure, now we are back, broadcasting live on the very platform that once tried to erase this dialogue completely. I'll be honest, David, being back on YouTube is one of the strangest things I've ever experienced. My entire life, for the past 14 years, 16,000 videos, over 1,000 interviews, 6 documentary films, over 2 million subscribers is now back. And each day, it's kind of hard to believe that it's real. But there's more work to be done. Today, I want to check in with you, David, to discover what you are seeing in the world. What do you believe is the real truth behind digital IDs, unchecked global immigration, Donald Trump and MAGA, Elon Musk, the Epstein files, the Charlie Kirk assassination, and the messages of the mainstream alternative media, like Alex Jones, Andrew Tate, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Jordan Peterson? As always, I don't agree with everything you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. The solution to quote unquote bad information is always more information, not censorship, and we'll continue to live by these values. David, you have many critics, but this broadcast is about hearing your ideas in full, without filters, edits, or gatekeepers. Viewers may agree or disagree. They will be challenged, inspired, and provoked, but they will decide for themselves. So David, I'd like to begin with Donald Trump. Without him, we probably wouldn't be live streaming on YouTube right now. That's probably a fact, but I'm guessing you have a few opinions on him and the MAGA movement, and also the extremely divisive politics that we're seeing around the world.
Well, I've got an enormous amount of abuse, actually since 2016, before Trump became president for the first time. When, apart from having fraud stamped to his forehead, I couldn't think of anything more obvious before me than Donald Trump is not what he claims to be. If you look at his history, which I lay out in the roadmap, he's been fundamentally part of the swamp. And in 2016, it was drain the swamp. Well, it's very difficult to drain a swamp when you're swimming in it, mate. And so the easiest way to scam people is to tell them what they want to hear. Because already the door is swinging open. Because people want what you're saying to be true. And because people also overwhelmingly, instead of looking in the mirror at the way forward, they look for someone outside of themselves to be a savior to do it for them. So along comes Donald Trump in 2016. He's telling people what they want to hear. He's telling that constituency what it wants to hear. And people are buying it. They're seeing him as the savior. And I saw him as a con man. It was like, to me, he was so transparent, it was unbelievable. And I got a lot of abuse for calling him out. And the same in this year, 2024, the election campaign, he came in early this year. Again, the abuse was off the scale, because I was saying, this guy's a fraud. This guy is not going to do what he says he's going to do. And he's come in, and it's taken only a few months before a lot of people who, in the so-called alternative media, who promoted him to power, big time, for them to say, he's not what we thought he was, and he's not doing what we thought he would do. Well, hold on. Some of us saw that in 2016. What took you so long? And we're now in a situation with this central core of the alternative media that gets all the algorithmic promotion and the funding, where some of them are calling for things because Trump is saying he wants to do it, that they have spent, those that have been in the alternative media for long enough, many of them haven't, but they have been calling for things and supporting things that they have been railing against before. And the only difference is Trump says this is what should happen, so they support it. Well, hold on, either it's right or it's not. It doesn't matter whether it's Trump saying it or the left saying it. It's either the right thing to do or it's not. And it's no good saying it's not the right thing to do when the left is saying it or whatever, and then say, oh no, it's the right thing to do now because Trump's saying it. It's unbelievable to me. And, you know, if you're a journalist, especially an alternative journalist, then the one thing you must not have is a political side. Because what happens, we've seen it through this Trump era, especially through 2024, 2025, whereby they filter how they present something on the basis of whether their side is saying it or whether the other side is saying it. And so you've got people, take Alex Jones as an example, who is saying now he wants to see the feds kicking doors down, after railing against the feds kicking doors down, going way back, where there's support for, he says, for regime change in Venezuela. We might get into why Venezuela and why Greenland later as well. And supporting taking out what are almost certainly fishing boats that do not have the capacity, the fuel capacity to even get to America, that have to get refueled so many times. And a Trump regime that is killing people, not naming who they are, producing no evidence that they're running drugs. And when two people survive an attack, instead of putting them on trial in America for running drugs, they send them back to their home countries in South America. Why? Because they don't want us to know who they really are for obvious reasons. So when I'm seeing the so-called alternative media that's been campaigning in a certain way and against certain things, suddenly now supporting them just because their man is says they have to happen is staggering to me. It's not journalism, and it's certainly not alternative journalism. See, what's happened since COVID is if I'm this global cult, this global network of secret societies with an interlocking mission control that I've been exposing all these decades, if I'm looking at COVID, you just talked about that period, then I would say two things. One, you are seeing people starting to see, thanks to the alternative media, that actually there is some kind of conspiracy going on, and there is some kind of coordination to a particular end going on, because they're seeing that when the COVID card was played, suddenly almost every country in the world, certainly in the Western world, responded the same. It's like, so essentially coordinated then. So they were getting their information from the alternative media. So we have to start looking at how we get control of this situation, which we are losing control of. And then number two, you ask, okay, how do we get control of their perceptions? Do we do it by using the mainstream media, as we always have, to get people to see the world the way we want them to see it? Well, no, we can't, because these emerging awakening people, they have absolute contempt for the mainstream media. Of course they do. They would never believe what they're told anymore by the BBC, MSNBC, Fox News. So what are they listening to? Well, obviously they're listening to the alternative media that's kind of emerged. There was no alternative media when I started out. I watched it appear. So what we have to do, they would say, and they did, we got to get control of that. We got to get control of the means through which we can get to the perceptions of those that are pushing back. And it's a constituency, a pushback constituency that's getting bigger. We have to get them on board. So what we're going to do is we're going to put people into that arena who are going to come out of the mainstream, and they are going to hijack, through algorithmic support, funding, whatever, that central arena where people are getting their information from, the ones that we really want to take back control of. So you had this influx of people out of the mainstream, and suddenly I'm watching, because I've been doing this a long time, like coming into my 36th year. I'm seeing stuff that was in my books in the 1990s. Now it's breaking news. And if you're kind of relatively new to this whole concept, you will have probably no idea that it was in my books in the 1990s, this stuff. So you do think it's breaking news, and you think these new stars of the alternative media are really breaking new ground, when actually they're repeating stuff that the people have been around for a long time, were pioneers of long ago. And what's happened as a result of that is that the alternative media central core has regressed. Like I say, when I started out, there was no alternative media. There was a few disparate individuals who were trying to get information out as best they could. When I started out, if you were putting an event on, you didn't post something on the internet.
How do you get out of a rat race? How do you create wealth not only for yourself, but also for the generations to come after?
I am absolutely amazed with the quality of companies that we're getting exposure to.
We go on to Zoom calls with the innovators and the folks who are building new applications in metaverse, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me.
We are focusing on early stage investment.
And the quality of people that we're getting exposure to, whether it be Dan Tapiero with 1RT, Jason Ma from Open, Yatsu from Animoca.
It's been a phenomenal experience thus far. It has far exceeded my expectations.
We are focusing on cutting edge technologies.
I view it now as the best investment I've ever made. The upside I view is unlimited.
And as a retail investor, I would never get this exposure anywhere else outside of Investment Club.
See you in the Investment Club.
Basically, there was no internet worth the name. You stood in the street and handed out leaflets. You know, that's where how far back it goes. But what we kind of, as the alternative media emerged, and I was delighted, more and more the merrier. There was this understanding that we live in one-party states. Actually, I would say, and I make that case in the roadmap, we live in a one-party world ultimately, but we live in one-party states because there is a force in the background. I say it's really, really much deeper in the background than people realize, but there is a force. Some people call it the deep state. The deep state is just an expression of this force. It's not the force in its original form. But there is a force that works not through one party. It doesn't work through the left or work through the right or work through the center. It works through all of them. So you have a situation where the left and the right will use different rhetoric, and they will use different excuses. But when you analyze the outcomes are basically the same. For instance, there's a common outcome now, which is the takeover of human society by artificial intelligence. This is going to take, if we continue to allow this, it's going to take human control onto a level, perceptual control, thought control, emotional response control, onto a level never before seen in known human history. And so you have, for instance, the government of the UK, currently headed by Keir Starmer, who is so called of the left, and you have the Trump government of the right, and they're both pushing the AI dystopia agenda, the AI digital dystopia agenda. And what's kind of interesting, once you fall for this delusion that the two parties are not ultimately controlled by the same force, you fall for the left-right puppet show, the left-right theater, to the point where Trump, in power of the right, uses the left as an excuse to impose tyranny and to impose censorship in many and various ways. In Britain and other countries of the same political persuasion, you have Starmer using the right as the excuse to impose censorship, tyranny, and what we've seen with the extraordinary jailing and prosecuting of people for internet posts. So here you have a wonderful example of Starmer of the left and Trump of the right, but the direction is the same. Why? Because the same force with the same outcome direction agenda is working through both of them. And what's happened to the alternative media, and I say it's been done purposely from the manipulative point of view, is it's regressed from it's a one-party state, same force working through both, to the deep state is the Democrats. The deep state is the left. And so what that has done, and it's happened in Britain of the left, and it's happened in America of the right, it's created this division between right and left. And they're fighting each other, heading towards possibly civil war. And in this country, the same is going on. And yet, if people just symbolically looked up, they'd see the same hand holding the strings of both sides. And so that regression from an understanding of this force working through all sides, as they used to say in America when I first went there in 96 and started talking to nobody in those early days, that people used to say, it doesn't matter who you vote for because the government still gets in. And that's true. That's how it works. And now we're having this left-right regressed view. And if you are a few people, and we're supposed to have about 8 billion people in the world, the number of people in full knowledge who are driving this conspiracy towards global AI digital dystopia is by comparison tiny. How can you possibly have a few people dictating the direction of the lives and the societies of billions? And look back through history, what has always been the common theme of humanity? All the way through history, doesn't matter the culture, it doesn't matter where on earth you're talking about, it doesn't matter the era. The few have always controlled the many. And it's been done through two things. There's two types of people that allow this to happen. One, there's those that obey authority just because they're authority. They believe that authority must know best, and so they don't question what authority tells them. See COVID, I rest my case. Then you have the second group that doesn't want to do what they're told, but they fear the consequences of not doing it, and so they do it. And so that's one level of how the few control the many, through unquestioning obedience and through fear of consequences of not obeying. But there's another level of it, which is age-old, and it's called divide and rule. What you must have if you're the few controlling the many is the many fighting each other. So what you need to do, I'm sure we'll get into this whole area of religion as we go along, you want to divide the target population into rigid, unquestioning belief systems. These systems can be religious, and you want many different versions of religious belief systems because you want to play them off against each other. And you have political belief systems, you have cultural belief systems. And so once you've got all these different belief systems, then you have the situation where you can play them off against each other. You can play left off against right. You cannot play left off against right when left and right both understand that the same force is working through both of them and manipulating both of them. Then you say, hold on a minute, we need to come together here because that is manipulating both of us. No, you want them fighting each other. You want religions fighting each other. And what you get when you have a rigid belief system, it doesn't matter what it is. I've said over the years so many times, this global cult network does not care what you believe so long as you believe it rigidly and without question and to the exclusion of other possibility. So when someone comes along like me and says, I'm going to question everything and see if it stands up to scrutiny, and you find that almost nothing does, all these different belief systems that would normally fight each other are, to a very large extent, unified in their condemnation and ridicule of me, because I'm going to places they won't go because their belief system, whatever it is, will not allow them to go there. So if you take religion, it's estimated that of the 8 billion people they say is in the world, 5.4 billion either self-identify as Christian, as Muslim, or as Hindu. Then you ask yourself, okay, where do most of these belief systems come from? They come from their upbringing and their environment when they grow up. So if you're born in India and within a Hindu family, you're almost certainly going to be a Hindu. If you're born in the Middle East, you're almost certainly going to be a Muslim. And if you're born in the southern states of America, particularly, you're almost certainly going to be a Christian. Okay, now take those people and have them born in India. Take the southern states of America Christian and have them born in India. Are they going to be a Christian? No, they're going to be a Muslim. Are they going to be a Hindu? And the same with these others. I remember a long time ago, it was about 1993, my only trip to Israel, and of course they would not let me in now. It was a bit of a struggle then, to be honest. And I remember standing next to, on what the Christians and Jewish people call Temple Mount, where the big mosque is, the big golden dome. And there were these Muslim kids playing football, only little kids. And I watched them for a bit. And the old city of Jerusalem, within that city wall, it's very small, but it's divided into 4 quarters. There's an Armenian quarter, a Christian quarter, a Jewish quarter, and a Muslim quarter. And it occurred to me as I was watching these kids playing football that literally in the old city of Jerusalem, if those kids had been born down the street in the Christian quarter or the Jewish quarter, at the same age, they'd have a very different view of reality, the world, themselves, and their beliefs. And so what you do, and I go into this in the roadmap at some length at one point, because it's so important. People overwhelmingly do not form their belief systems. Some do. They don't form their religious belief systems overwhelmingly from making a choice and looking at the possibilities. They are programmed by their environment and their upbringing and the culture and the religious system that they are born into. And what happens when you have a belief system that is rigid and unquestioning? It's a prison of the mind, because you have a limit to where you can go, what you can explore, questions you can ask, because you have to stay within the belief system of your religion, and I'll widen the definition of religion in a sec, because if you step out in any direction, you are no longer a follower of that religion. You are a blasphemer in whatever form. And what that does is create, and political belief systems are the same, it creates a prison of the mind, a prison cell, which you will not expand out of. So when you think that our visual capacity, what we can see, is a ridiculously, unbelievably, ridiculously narrow band of frequency called visible light. That's all we can see. It's tiny. Everything else in the space that we are currently experiencing, we can't see. And yet, from that perspective, we can come to rigid, unquestioning conclusions of what reality is, who we are, what the world is, and so on. And there is infinity beyond the myopia of unquestioned belief, waiting to be explored, waiting to be understood. But you can't go there, otherwise you're outside the parameters of your religion. And like I say, religion, as I talk about in the roadmap, religion is a mentality. It's not, as my father called it, it's not just confined to bricks and mortar religion, churches and synagogues and mosques and temples. It's a mentality. And I find it supremely ironic that orthodox science condemns religion and ridicules religion often, when it itself is a religion. It's the religious mentality. What does a religion have? It has a story. It has its dogma. It has its own holy book, whether it's the Bible or the Quran or whatever. And it has a limit of where it will go, because it's no longer that religion if it goes any further. Now look at science. Science, orthodoxy, has a dogmatic view of the world. It has its holy books, which are the scientific orthodoxy books. And if you are a scientist and you want to explore beyond the walls of orthodoxy, scientific orthodoxy, then you are a pseudo-scientist. And Bill's gone a bit crazy, because you are exploring beyond the confines of orthodox science. And you look at the history of orthodox science, and every single dogma at every single point, eventually orthodox science has had to be pulled kicking and screaming into an understanding which they not long before ridiculed, condemned, and even through religion burned people at the stake for having that for that view. And then you look at human-caused climate change. It's a religion. It has a dogma. You must not question the dogma, because if you question the dogma, you are a blasphemer in their terms. And everywhere you look, you see these rigid belief systems which will not explore beyond them. And then this cult, which has created this society of belief systems. Like I say, they couldn't care less what you believe so long as it's rigid and unquestioning. They then play the belief systems off against each other. They play religion off against orthodox science. They play this religion off against this religion. They play the right off against the left. And so it goes on. And I've been trying to get across all these years is we're all being shafted.
Peter Thiel took $500,000 and turned it into $1 billion using the exact same techniques we're using inside the investment club. He met a CEO, his name was Zuckerberg. He pitched him the deal and he said, okay, I'll give you $500,000. Mark went public and sold the shares to people like you. Well, what happened to Peter? Well, he exited and got a 2,300x return. The wealthy invest in early stage companies, folks. The public markets are for suckers. It's a rigged game. By the way, this happens in crypto as well. It's called pre-sale tokens. This is Solana. Does anybody know this chain? They sold pre-sale tokens for 4 cents. And you can see the date on there, April 5th, 2018. Look at Solana today, folks. That thing's up over 1,000x. The media and Wall Street and all these hype people get you to buy the top. Meanwhile, they put their clients in at the bottom and they use you for liquidity to make their clients rich. You can play this same game. You just have to have the financial education and the deal flow. That's it.
By the same force. And that force is actually ultimately coming from another dimension of reality. And if we go on not only having rigid belief systems, there's nothing wrong with having a belief. It's just like, okay, this is the way I see the world now. This is the way I see it. But I've got me spikes on, I've got me trainers on, I'm fluid, I'll go where the information takes me. Because I know, as Socrates is supposed to have said, the ancient Greek philosopher, and it's something I've always worked on, that same way of looking at the world. Wisdom is knowing how little we know. To know is to know you know nothing. That's the secret of true knowledge. And what that does is whatever you think you know, and like I say, I've worked on this principle all these decades. Whatever you think you know, the one thing you know above all else is there's always more to know. And so what happens is you get to a point and you say, okay, I think I got this. I think I know, I think I understand this level of it. But what don't I know? And so what that does, it constantly drives you deeper and deeper and deeper in the rabbit hole. Because, okay, I know this now, okay, but what don't I know? And that, I can tell you from experience, takes you way beyond Trump or Harris or Starmer or Farage or whoever. It takes you into very far out areas when you keep asking that question, okay, so what don't I know? But what these belief systems do is stop you going there. And, you know, if you are choosing to go there, and this is my experience over the last 30 odd years, then you've got to realize and not complain. You've got to realize that rigid belief systems in all their different forms are going to ridicule and abuse you when you will go where they will not go. And so I'm at peace with that. But if we look at this situation and ask, so what can we do? Well, you know, what you can do is you can look for a solution to a problem. And if you look for a solution, how many solutions, apparent claimed solutions, lead to more problems in need of more solutions? That's the round and round you go. For me, I'm not looking for solutions. I'm looking for causes. I want to know what's causing the problem, because if you remove the cause, by definition, the problem must disappear. If you're looking for a solution, you just create more problems. So what's the cause of the problem? The cause of the problem is people, and this is how the few have always controlled the many. People fall for rigid belief systems which they will not let go or explore beyond them.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below. Hi, it's Brian Rose from London Real. You probably know that we've just recently been replatformed on YouTube after 25 months completely in the dark. The truth is, I really need your help. What I really need you to do is click on that subscribe button right now, like this video, and maybe even leave a comment or share the link with friends. We're really fighting against an algorithm that's tried to keep us quiet for so long, and the more subscribers we have, the more people watch our content, the better guests we can bring you, the better content, and we can continue transforming lives. We've been doing this for 14 years now. I want to do this for another 14 years, but I really need your help. So click on that subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment, share this, and we're going to continue to bring you more and more great content. Thank you.